good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am here this lovely Monday morning with David.
Hello.
And I'm sure it's nice and chilly around most of the world right now, but not for us, not so much. Today, we are continuing our conversation in a way about how much limitlessness we can experience. And as the year 2021 winds down, we have to be a little bit nostalgic and I think confess to how much we were waiting for things to go back to normal this year. The hope, the promise of the limitations that we're experiencing going away. And today we want to talk about really the key to not only happiness, but also success, peace of mind, and freedom. We call it the art of surrender. The Weekly Energy Boost is your 7-day spiritual weather forecast, where David and I, and sometimes our guests, do our best to provide the most powerful and practical tools to help you navigate the coming 7 days. We do that by poring over Kabbalistic text and also reading what's out there, what other change makers are talking about, and we strive to give our listeners as much practical and powerful wisdom as we can pack into one episode. So this week, we're in the middle of this weird time. Okay, on one hand, we're still in the month of Capricorn, and we're still navigating the potential stubbornness and sort of stalwart feeling that everybody has that things are terrible and difficult and it's the end of the world all the time. And at the same time, we're coming into this period, we're actually in this period that the Kabbalists talk about as being a huge opportunity for spiritual growth. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to also bring up what surrender really is. In Kabbalah, it's not let go and let God. It's really important to make that distinction. I think a lot of spiritually minded, even religious people have this perception that what surrender is. And I think in Kabbalah, it is very different. And it's important that we distinguish what differentiates the letting go that we're talking about today. But maybe we can start by asking everybody who's listening live to share with us, where is it hardest in your life to let go? Where is it? I think a lot of us feel like we go with the flow in different areas of our lives and we totally trust the Creator with our relationship or our business. But with our relationship or our business, we are in total micromanagement, fear, anxiety, stress. And we want to break down how to get rid of it, why to get rid of it, and take it away, David.
Well, I thought maybe to start with one of the deeper concepts Kabbalistically and then make it more practical.
Go for it.
Which is, we know that there are 10 dimensions of energy between the light of the Creator and us down here in the physical world. And while there's so many classes that we can have, so many sessions we can have about this topic, about how these 10 dimensions work and how even science validates it, what we need to know is that the brightness of the Creator needs to be filtered down until it reaches our level so that we can handle it and then earn more and more energy as we climb that spiritual ladder back up. One of the ways of looking at these 10 dimensions is that the light comes from above to below through these 10 based on the desire and the effort, which are the same thing. People say they want something. They only want it if you see that their effort is mimicking their words. So I could say, I want to be successful at something, or I want to be an athlete, an Olympic swimmer, but if I'm not practicing every day swimming, I don't really want to be. So it doesn't matter what you say, it's also what you do. So when you want something and your effort backs it, you draw the energy from above to below through these 10 dimensions. The bigger the desire, the more you're able to pull down through these 10 dimensions. However, if you just desire and work and want and take this energy once it comes to you, then we learn, this is where Kabbalah is so unique, we learn that you don't actually get the energy. The best example of this is the sun that shines on the earth. As the sun is shining through outer space, it's darkness. But the light is revealed as soon as there's something that pushes that light back, which is the earth. The surface of the earth will push that light back, and then light is revealed on that surface. But outer space is dark, even though the rays of the sun are there. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do you reveal something? Well, first you need to draw it. You draw it through that work, through that effort, through that sacrifice. But the way you reveal it is at the moment where you feel the process is controlling you, it's personal, you're upset, that means that the energy is very close, and that's when you need to let go and surrender. So surrender has to happen only at the time where you're upset, or you're bothered, or it's controlling you. Surrender cannot happen in the beginning of a process. Like, for example, if I start a new job today, my first day on the job, and I say, you know what? I surrender. I'm not going to do anything today. That's a problem. What you need to do is work really hard at the job. You need to be the best. You need to do 100%. And as you do that, what's going to happen is people are going to get in your way. Someone's going to try to hurt, you're going to have conflict. Then when the conflict occurs and you start to feel upset, you need to let go. You need to completely surrender as if you're not going to do anything. And then when you're not upset anymore, you need to go back to the effort of drawing the energy. Because what that does when you surrender is it's called returning light. You return the light back, and that's what reveals the light. So when you restrict, when you return the light, that's what reveals the light. Those who've taken our courses well into Kabbalah 3 will have a better time understanding what we just shared. And sometimes we share deeper concepts that the broader audience may be like, what? I think I got that. I'm not sure I got that. But I wanted to back it up with the deep Kabbalistic concept, which is effort and desire. Then you insert surrender as soon as it starts controlling you. And then you go back to effort and desire.
I think it's hard for people to... maybe it's easier to understand than it is to practice. That's what I mean to say. Because we live in, for some reason, we've been conditioned to behave as though when I'm stressed about something or I'm worried about it, I'm being responsible. I care.
Right. If I'm worried about something, that's a good thing. I'm actually helping it by worrying about it.
Right. And then Kabbalah comes and says, if you're stressed about it, you aren't surrendering. That's not just because you took your hands off the wheel, but you're freaking out.
Right.
That's not surrender.
Right.
Surrender is really, I'm leaving it up to, I'm detaching from it. I mean, I've heard you, David, even say in different lectures and things like that, I don't want it.
Right.
Right? You detach to the point that you're effectively pushing it away from you. And I think that becomes hard because, or we make it harder for ourselves than it needs to be, because our nature is to want things now and to resist process.
Right.
And if you understand what David just said about the process that the light has to go through in order to be revealed in our world, and that's manifestation of everything, right? When we say light, we're not just talking about feeling good, we're talking about every form of blessing and goodness you could want in your life, from the intangible to the tangible. Right. It's like going through these transformers, the same way that when you want toast in the morning, or maybe it's better to say you want a cup of coffee in the morning, you can't just plug your coffee maker into the power station of your city. It has to go through a series of transformers till it gets to your home, and then even then you're plugging it into one outlet in the wall. The same way, those filters, those 10 levels, filter out the light so that then we can use it to make coffee or to have a family or to work every day, or et cetera and so forth. Let's say that not the problem, but the solution is in the understanding that the process is the purpose, which we've spoken about ad nauseum, I think, on Weekly Energy Boost, and it's probably on bumper stickers and T-shirts and coffee mugs as well. But what that means is that the reason that the universe is conspiring to put this challenge in front of me, the one that's giving me the opportunity to surrender, is not so that I can have that contract from that big client, or it's not about me finding my next place to live or looking for my soulmate. The process, the the reason that the soulmate is eluding me is because of the process I can go through rather than the reward being the soulmate. And maybe that's another really important thing to say about surrender, is that we tend to think that when we get what we want, it's a reward.
Right. And what's interesting is most likely when we get what we want, that's actually when the sadness comes in. And that's when the chaos comes in. People are most excited on the way to something, on the way to a trip, on the way to getting that new car, on the way to the new date, on the way to a date, right? All the problems come for people when they start to let it in. And our teacher, Rob Berg, used to always say, the light bulb shines as long as the filament's saying no to the charge. But as soon as the filament gets tired and says, you know what, I'll let it in, then you have a short circuit. Life is about being a channel, not about receiving. And there's two different things. Being a channel means you never really feel like you received. It's almost like eating a meal only until you're like 70% full. You really want to hit that last 30%, and your body's begging for it. But we all know if we walked away always at 70%, how great we'd feel, how much more energy we'd have, how much more we'd love ourselves. But we just can't help ourselves. We need that last 30%. That's what makes you that. As long as you do 70%, you're a channel. Meaning, it doesn't affect you like energetic. Your energy doesn't. You don't crash. You just keep. You just keep moving along. Everybody's looking for more energy. Everyone's looking for not crashing. But once you take, you want it all. I want it all. Let me have it. That's when the universe comes in with the curtain and then pushes the light out. You fall asleep, you get tired, you get stomachache, you gain weight. So all of that comes from letting it all in and not letting go. So surrender also means surrender the meal. At that point when you know that you're overeating. Surrender means leave the party. At that moment where you know now you're just being a taker. Surrender means...
No, I use that example. It's so funny that you say that. I was speaking to a student of mine who is dating in the beginning stages of a relationship, more than just dating, but not yet, together for 5 years kind of thing. And she said, well, now we're really in a relationship. So where's the restriction? Where's the surrender?
Right.
And I said, you know that you want to spend 6 hours with the guy, spend only 3.
Right.
Plan to leave room for there to be light.
Right.
And I think going back to the idea of worrying, worrying is the responsible thing to do. Maybe everybody turn the volume up now on whatever you're listening to so you can hear this clearly. Trying to control actually prevents the light from being involved. And I think that those of us who pride ourselves on being control freaks and doing a good job, right? My controlling things has been effective in the past. I have a good track record. I'm a good manager. I'm a good CEO. I'm a good this. The more we dominate what's in our responsibility, the less light and room for miracles and ability to channel we have. It's like by keeping such a close, what's the word? Holding so tightly on it, there's no room for movement. It's like we're choking it. And so part of what I maybe this week's episode is more of a warning, right? In this period, the Kabbalists call this period the Shovavim. It's like the wild weeks, in a way, the mischievous weeks. What's mischievous? It's as though somebody up there is playing games with us. That it's almost ridiculous. I find in this time the challenges that come up are almost ridiculous. Really, this again? I'm having this conversation again. I'm having this button pushed again. I'm in this scenario again. What is going on? But the truth is, it's like the universe is giving me a speed. It's like a 6-week ticket to years of transformation. And that's why today's episode is so important. Consider this the universe telling you, Sue, Joe, Bob, Mary, and everybody in between, start your day with letting go. Look for the things you can surrender. Look for the concessions you can make. Look for the places that you have agenda, where you're manipulating, where you're controlling, where you are attached to the outcome that it needs to happen this way, this day, and on this date. And let it go. And watch what happens. Not watch what happens, meaning, okay, Elisheva said, so I got to watch. Now what's going to happen? Now this didn't happen. Then she said, meaning really let it go. Tell the light, I have no idea what I'm doing, because the truth is we have no idea what we're doing. Even though we may know and we may have a good track record, the idea of being a channel. What is being a channel? We're not talking about channeling messages and opening up a psychic shop on the corner. We're talking about being a conduit for everything, for health, prosperity, love, goodness. You want it to flow from you, and you want it to flow through you. And that's the difference between a channel and a vessel. A vessel has a finite capacity. A channel has an infinite ability to contain, right? Think about the difference between a pipe and a bowl. A bowl can hold 32 ounces. A pipe is constantly, as long as there is nothing blocking it, it can hold millions and billions of gallons over time. So when we say channel, maybe some people who are not so familiar with our mumbo jumbo think that we're talking about one thing. We're really talking about having things come and flow through to you and through you. I want to say effortlessly. The effort is not external, it's internal.
The people who thrive the most in their lives that I meet are very nimble in the way they approach life. They're never they go deep, but they're never allowing their emotions to get the better of them. And when they do, right, some people, like you can see when it comes to business, they're so nimble. They can go deep. They can go deep in meetings. They can go deep in plans. They can go deep with people, with customers, with employees, with networks. But they'll never take it personally. They'll just they're able to step out and step in at will. They're in total control of their emotions. And that's what I've seen really is a magnet for prosperity. However, those same people could get totally lost in relationships and take things personally and get hung up on stuff and make a mountain out of a molehill. So there's a direct correlation. Are you nimble, or are you holding on? Holding on. I shared this in a show a while back, where one time, very successful founder of a big company that we know, he's one of the most successful people in the world, and he said the secret of his success, he said this to a small group of people, was learning to not hold on to anything in his brain. He said he hired somebody, paid a lot of money to help him and coach him and guide him for success. And then I said, what was the main takeaway? So the main takeaway was, stop holding on. Stop holding on to whatever you're holding on to. It's sucking your energy. And it is the biggest blockage to productivity, to divine inspiration, to excitement. Science has already told us that the number one driver of a lethargic life and feeling
Stagnant.
I'm sorry?
Stagnant.
A stagnant life and feeling drained and tired is holding on to stuff in your brain, which is really fascinating. You would think that it has something to do with your body. It has nothing to do with your body. The number one driver of feeling tired is ruminating in your mind. So, are you a ruminator? Are you the person that overthinks things over and over and over again? That is very taxing. That requires bandwidth. So how much of your bandwidth is going to holding on to stuff? So we can talk about this for a while, but it comes down to the person who's strong enough to just let go, and let the universe, let the energy of the universe just help you. Let it in. It's okay. Don't worry about your ex. Don't worry about the person you're in a divorce with. Don't worry about what they're doing. Don't worry about who they're dating.
It's the hardest thing ever.
Don't worry. Don't think big. Think bigger.
Well, that leads actually to, I think, perhaps the final point, maybe the second to the final point, is that the external really isn't ours to control. I'm going to tell you what you can control in a minute. But I think I opened the show talking about how this year was probably a big disappointment to a lot of people because we expected life to go back to normal to whatever degree, even though every other episode we probably talk about how it's not going back to normal. But the idea that nothing is in our control. Oh, actually, I wanted to, apropos Capricorn, my mother, we were planning a trip. We've been planning a trip for months already. By the way, that's a great story about surrender.
You're always planning a trip.
No, we were supposed to go to Israel, and Israel keeps changing their requirements. So at one point, my mother-in-law, who's a Capricorn, they changed the requirements. They made them stricter. And she calls it and she says, "Such a disappointment." And we were like, "What?" She's like, "They changed the restrictions." So what are you disappointed about? We haven't even left. We're not even there yet, you know? And to me, okay, we laugh. The Capricorn thing is an ongoing joke in our house because my husband his mom, brother, and sister are Capricorn. So he was basically raised in a goat pen. Okay. He's not a Capricorn, by the way. And we've turned it into this humorous thing because they're very kind of fatalistic about everything, right? They change the rules and therefore my life is ruined, right? Like there's so much attachment and expectation and then failure and drama and up and down. So to me, a big part of the lesson of now it's 2 years is you can't control anything. You can make plans, you can buy tickets, you can reserve cars and Airbnbs, and in 1 minute it's over. Right? Or in 5 minutes or in a week. So the level of detachment that living in the year 2021 requires is already monumental compared to the past. The only thing, and this goes to David, because sometimes I hear the things that he says and I am so impressed. The only thing that you can control is your consciousness, is what thoughts do you allow to control you? So David is saying, don't worry about your ex. That is the hardest thing to do when when you have an ex who's doing what he wants on the French Riviera while you're at home, taking care of business. That's it's only surrender when it is the hardest thing to do. If you can look at something and say, no big deal, I don't need to deal with it, it is not surrender. Surrender is only when it takes every single ounce of strength that you have to walk away from it. And the ounce of strength is the mental strength. So what David was saying about holding on to that stuff in your head, you have to let it go so that you have the energy to do the surrender, to control. Are you checking Facebook? Did you get the text? If you're checking your phone incessantly, you haven't surrendered. If you are waiting for the phone to ring, you haven't surrendered. If you are waiting for something bad to happen to the other person, you haven't surrendered. So it's really for each one of us to examine where I don't want to say it's mental because it's even more than mental. It's not just about thinking differently. You can have the thought, right? Sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you guys, you're driving along, walking along about your day, and you have a negative thought. And you can say, okay, that's terrible, and move along. Or you can wallow in it and go through it and take that windy path down to all of the other possible negative scenarios that can happen. That's where the control is. Do I allow my limited belief systems? Do I allow my negative patterns? That's where my control is. And once you're able, maybe it's better to tell everybody, listen, life is like a gym, right? In the gym, there's no winning, right? Think about it. When you go to exercise in the gym, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't, you're not playing a game, right? You're there to best yourself. Maybe you're there to lose some weight. Maybe you're there to get more fit, to strength, endurance, whatever it is. But there isn't at the end of your session at the gym, it's not who won, right? You're there to grow and get stronger. That, my friends, is life. When you get married, you haven't won anything. When you have a family, you haven't won anything. When you get promotion, you haven't won anything. it's not the opportunities that present themselves to us in the gym of life are there to help us with growth, strength, endurance, and to let go. And I'm going to equate losing weight with letting go. If it's not healthy for you, let it go. And all the things we talked about, the worry, the stress, the anxiety, the obsessing over what's happening with the other person or what's going to happen in the future, none of that is healthy. None of it serves you. Drop it.
Letting go immediately translates into receiving something. And a great exercise is to start your day with more of what can I let go? If you have to look at areas of your life that are blocked or not exactly where you want it to be, there's only one question. What do I need to let go in that area? That's the direct correlation. Stuck? Not letting go. Well, I don't know when I'm not letting go. You need to ask the question. You need to know that the only thing that's making something stuck is because you're holding on to something from the past. So something new can't come in. It's become a swamp when it needs to become a river. Swamps are still water. It's water that's being held on to. And it collects bacteria and all sorts of stuff that you don't want to be involved with. So question is, look at your life right now. Where is there kind of like something just, it's just not moving. It's not fulfilling the way you want it to be. It's not right. Something's not right. You have to start making a list of, you know what am I holding on to? It could be anything, by the way. Anything you hold on to for a long period of time, even your thoughts, even your memories. People who hold on to positive memories. I remember that the Kabbalists would, I don't know where I read it. I read it somewhere recently about one Kabbalist that he said he is aspired to forget things constantly. And it's also a sign of genius. People who don't remember, actually.
Wow.
I don't know where I read that. I read that somewhere.
I am winning if forgetting is a sign of genius.
Again, I'm not saying that you should forget things that are like important and be irresponsible, but there's people, some of the most successful people live in the moment, so they don't want to even remember what happens like 2 days ago. Well, what's the point?
Well, there's also people that live in the past because that was their heyday. Right? That they relive their successes. Right. Remember when I was so great, and remember when I knew everything, or I was so powerful, or everybody needed me. And now what? I think there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in that.
There's this old SNL skit, Saturday Night Live skit. You can look it up on YouTube. It shows Neil Armstrong watching over and over again his
walking on the moon.
Yeah, walking on the moon, like one small step from it, and it shows him rewinding it, just sitting there on the couch, and just watching it over again. And oh gosh, I was going to say something else. No, I forgot what the Neil. You know what? Go ahead. I forgot.
Do you have an example to share with everybody about how letting go makes you receive something, like something someone went through, or something that comes to mind, or you can give an example? Because I think it's very abstract. What do you mean if I let go, I'm going to get something? Right.
There's all the time in relationships, all the time I've seen that people are kind of stuck in that single life phase. And it could be because they're still entertaining improper friendship. They're taking energy from a relationship that they shouldn't be. They are holding on to, like, let's say, a person from the past or a relationship from the past. Even wondering what's happening with that person is holding on. There's holding on to negative beliefs, such as, I'm not sure that I deserve to find someone. I'm not sure I really want to find someone. I'm not sure I want to be committed to someone for the rest of my life. There's all this, like, also over planning. People are afraid to, like, get involved in stuff or go to the next level because they feel like that's going to define them for the rest of their lives. You can't worry about the future either. You have to also let go of what you think the future is, because the creator is going to change it no matter what. No matter what you think you're going to plan, the creator has like 1,000 different pathways for you, infinite pathways. So there's also no point in trying to plan the future. What we're really given is this ability to reveal the light of the creator in the moment now. Do what you need to do today. And then a whole new destiny and day will be created for you tomorrow. Now I remember we can learn this from the Creator, because the Creator created death. Why do people need to die? Why can't we just stay on earth, live as many years as necessary until we correct ourselves, and then be done? Right? Why do we have to come back in different shapes and forms and sizes? And the reason is, one of the reasons why it says so that we can forget and start over, because the more we remember, the harder it becomes to transform. So actually we should learn a lesson from the Creator of why he created death. He created death so that we can forget our trauma, forget some of our PTSD, forget the grudges, forget the limitations, and start over like a baby. That's why we love babies. We love babies because they don't hold on to anything. If my infant is crying because I just took something from his hand, all I have to do is
give it back to him.
Or give him anything. Or I could just throw him up in the air one time and he starts laughing and it's done. He totally forgot about the item that was 30 seconds ago. And wouldn't that be great if, like, your best friend comes to you crying?
There are people like that, by the way.
Well,
just hand them an ice cream cone and they're over it.
Yeah, and what great lives they have. Imagine your best friend comes to you, says, you know what, I just found out my husband's cheating on me. You say, look, put your arms up for a second, and you just pick them up and throw up in the air, and you tickle them a little bit, and they're like, wow. So what are we going to do today? They totally forgot about what just happened. And the truth is, why not? Well, some people say you're actually still holding on in the subconscious and this, that, and the other thing. So you need to let that go too. We're not talking about numbing your feelings. We're talking about being fully aware of your feelings and releasing them.
Okay. How do we wrap this puppy up?
The takeaway is to start your day with that focus in mind. Not what can I receive, what can I do, what can I create, what can I hoard, what can I build, but just kind of what can I channel out, what can I let go of. A great exercise, obviously cleaning out your closet. There's that famous woman on Netflix,
Marie Kondo.
Yeah,
we did an episode on her in August.
Yeah, she crushed it. So smart. It's like
I'm traumatized.
I wish I thought about that. I
am traumatized just from reading the book.
No, well,
Batya and I had it out. If you haven't listened to the Declutter Your Home episode, that's the physical episode. Cognate for this week's episode if you need help with that.
Right. I recently just did a little clean out, and it's unbelievable how good I felt. It's heavy. Everything's heavy. The more stuff you have, the heavier it gets. That's the bottom line. Even physical stuff. So there's something there. Whatever you can let go, physical, spiritual, just begin that process, and then you'll feel how powerful it is.
Okay. I think also, aside from letting go of thoughts and stuff, pay attention this week. I think more than ever, it's going to come up for us, and that's why we pick the topics that we do. That we will be challenged to let things go, or not let them go, as it were, and just remember what David said, that you're basically making room to receive something, and if you can't incentivize it in a better way, I can't think of a better incentive. I guess the desire to control what you get in exchange is where the difficulty is. I do want to mention before we do go that this is the last week of this month's offer. As you know, we try to give our listeners different tools and things to experience to help them on their spiritual journey. Sometimes it's a product, sometimes it's a book, sometimes it's a service. This week we have a special offer. You can find it at weeklyenergyboost.com for the red string, talking about letting go and not following the X on social media. The red string is a tool, as we've explained before. You can read all about it at the link on weeklyenergyboost.com and use it. The way that we use it is as a spiritual tool to remind ourselves to stay in our lane, to not get sucked into trying to control other people and other things. We didn't really talk too much about it, but the idea that the universe is a very precise supercomputer that makes sure that everybody gets exactly what they need, not necessarily what they want, but definitely what they need. And the red string also helps to prevent our interference with that, and other people's interference for that matter. As always, you can find us, Weekly Energy Boost, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all podcast platforms. You can continue to rate, review. Those reviews are amazing and they really help people get connected to us. So keep doing that. And of course, share. If you're just finishing listening to this week's episode, you can click share and spread the love. We appreciate it. It really is the reason that we exist is because you guys continue to share every episode. We are reaching more people every week, and we thank you for that. And we'll see you next week on the Weekly Energy Boost.